I talk about game design, I talk about discovery, I talk about kind of playing experiences, and I can do that because I've been doing games as a service for about 16 years. I've even written a book on this topic, Games as a Service, how free-to-play design can make better games. And if you've been around the show, you probably noticed me popping my annoying head saying, but no, we should be making better games, and free-to-play can make better games. None of that today. Today, I'm actually going to do, unusually, a talk about Everyplay. And there's a whole bunch of reasons for that, because we're making games, I'm assuming most of us in the room, and we want them to be successful, don't we? Anyone want their game to be successful? Really? None of you? Wow, we're in the wrong room. Oh, okay, there's a couple of us hardcore guys who want to make a game that people like. And if we make a game that we want people to like, we kind of want them to tell people about it. In fact, Nick here, it's like you're thinking about sort of what Facebook did to us. When the Facebook gaming thing came around, when I remember my first exposure to this when was Christian Zegzari, it was running around so excited, like a week after the Facebook session where they first talked about games in 2007. He said, this is going to be amazing, this is going to be amazing. Ordinary people are going to want to play games. And I went, no, don't be stupid. Why would ordinary people play games? That's for us gamers. And if you think about what happened is that Facebook connection allowed us to open up a marketplace to the biggest audience ever. Not only, and games have been the most profitable entertainment sector for a decade. They've been more profitable than music and movies for at least 10 years, In fact, more profitable than both combined on a relatively niche audience. And now we have this kind of social connectivity. We actually have the availability to talk to everybody. How many people's mums play Candy Crush? None of your mums play Candy Crush? Really? Word with friends? With friends, yeah? Dead Trigger 2? Yeah, my mum does. Seriously, I have a cool mum. So, she got on Twitter before I did. It's weird. Anyway, so the point is that we have this audience, it's now changed. We have to understand them. We also have to understand how we're going to connect to them. What is it about a game? Why would people pay attention to games? Well, we all have these moments, these magical moments where suddenly we realize, look what I did. And I can show my mum. Look what I did, Ma, in this game. Okay, it's not just my mum I'm sharing it with, obviously. I'm old enough to not have to worry about that anymore. But, we love these. You know the moments I mean, though. And particularly, it's things to me like Hill Climb Racer. Anyone played Hill Climb Racer? It's ridiculous. Why is it I end up kind of getting some speed up, and then I hit a bump, and I'm going to spiral around and smash, and it's like for the 15th time, and it just makes me laugh. I don't know why, every time it makes me laugh. And I want to share those moments with my friends. Look how useless I am at playing this game. So that's really the topic about this kind of session, is Everyplay is about building community, about the emotions that we care about when it comes to playing games. And I want to share those moments. Because getting found right now really matters. It's really important. There are more games out there than I can possibly play in my lifetime. I know I'm old, but I'm not that old. More importantly, there are more good games out there than I could possibly play in my lifetime. And you expect to sell your games? Really? How many games out there that are like your game? How are you going to get found? What makes you stand out? And it's not about what technology you use. I mean, of course, I'm fantastically happy to be part of Unity, and Unity empowers people to make amazing things. Genuinely, I mean, you saw some of the stuff that Valentin was talking about earlier. There's amazing stuff that we can create, but it's about what you do in your experience. But as long as it's only in your experience, it's trapped. I want to release it. I want to help you release it to your players. But more importantly, I want your players to share the things that they care about. The moments that they made, the experiences that they want to show off. Because it's so much better when your friend shows you this crazy moment than if I produce an advert and show you. Who are you going to be connected with? Your friend who's showing this great thing? Or this advert from this company that spent money to get you to see their image? So personal experience matters. And we can do that within the games. We can have this moment, we can pop up a notification saying, do you want to share this? Look at what you just did. Do you want to share this on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and all that kind of stuff? And we can create that momentum. We can have some comment to say. Because sharing is caring. You know, a replay, I thought you'd like that image. A replay is utterly personal. It's entirely something kind of we care about and we want to be involved with. You know, it's sort of kind of amazing experience. Actually, before I go into that, let's give you a taste. I don't know why it's only up there.
What is up, Everyplay? It is me, Tiger Unlimited here. Oh god. Why is my life like it's going down? Oh my gosh. Oh, so cool. Oh my gosh, hey guys, this is the link right now. Oh my gosh. Dude, I am gonna die.
I could go on for a long time with those videos, but I'm not going to because we only have a certain amount of time. But I mean, hopefully you've given you a taste. It's those moments in a game where we can pay attention to what's going on, we can get this experience. There's about 1,000 games that use Everyplay at the moment, which, given that we only had about 350 when we were acquired by Unity in March, to have 1,000 games now, I think it's an amazing growth rate. So, the really important thing, and the way I'm going to turn this from being a kind of pitched session to being a practical session, is I'm going to try and show you what I had to do to make this work. So obviously, here we go. We've got a Unity window here. This is a real Unity window. Just to show I can do that. I can pull up the scripts. I'm actually going to pull up a particular script. I happen to have done this using, where is it, game controller. So here we go. This is the script I did. So anyone done this Space Shooter tutorial? Anyone in the room done this one? Yeah, so you're like me, we're trying to learn how to use this stuff, getting our first exposure to C#, and we end up with kind of getting our heads around this whole space. So here's the game controller in lovely mono. Anyone a fan of mono? No? Okay. So what we try to do is try and work out how we're going to make this stuff work. So there's a whole bunch of things we're going to do. Back to my slides. We're going to, first off, go to the asset store. I'm assuming everybody knows about the asset store. Does anyone not know about the asset store? Good. So it's a fantastic space. We can get all sorts of things. Obviously, Everyplay is free, so don't have to worry about costs. We go to the asset store, we find Everyplay, we import it into our project. Really nice and easy. When we've imported it into our project, the one thing you have to do is go and register on the Everyplay site. So developers.everyplay.com, and it's all in the instructions when you import the project, the Everyplay into your project. And then you're going to give some details about the game you're going to set up. You'll notice I've scrubbed out the client ID and client script, although actually I think it might be a bad idea, because if you all used my one instead, then I'd get all these hits on my game. Maybe not. Anyway, the point is, there's a small amount of data we need. So we need this client ID and secret ID, and we're going to plug that directly into the Unity project. And the way I do that is I just go down the bottom here, because I've done all the important stuff. I've imported Everyplay into the experience, and I go to the bottom here. You see there's a thing called Everyplay settings there, so I click on Everyplay settings, and here we go. You can see my thing now, so anyway, who cares? Anyway, so there's my client ID, my secret ID, and so on and so forth. Just plug it in. That's basically kind of most of what you need to do. Once you've got the Everyplay package imported into your project, you've plugged this in, it's pretty straightforward. So what do we do? What do we have to do to get it to work? Well, I'm going to do it the easy way, because I'm a very, very much a beginning coder. I'm mostly doing copy-paste, although I have to say I did work out how to put touch controls into the Space Shooter tutorial, which I think is a pretty big achievement. I even put a button in, or a couple of buttons, using the new UI, but only just got them working. So I'm going to use the easy stuff. Now, if we want to start recording, the first thing we have to do is initialize Everyplay. And the reason we need to do that is because we support iOS and Android with Everyplay. Now, obviously, Android's not as clean in terms of footprint as iOS. So we have to check a few things first. So if we run this little thing called everyplay.initialize, what that does is it goes off and checks the device that we're using. Is this thing suitable to run Everyplay on? So you don't have to worry about complex code to say, okay, what sort of processor is this phone using? What sort of, is it properly using WebGL, or is there some exceptions to the way it does that? Not WebGL, what am I talking about? OpenGL. So there's a whole bunch of things it will do for you just by running that script. And it's in the project, the package that we've imported into our project. All of the stuff to do all this is in that package. So, here I am, back to my actual code. Here we are. So I've done it in, oops, he says. I've gone here, and I've created void awake. There must be a coder in here who can explain why that is. Anyone want to volunteer why that's void awake? Any thoughts? Obviously, it's because we wanted to start initially. Right away, when we start the game, we want to have it straight away, check if this phone is suitable. And so I've written everyplay.initialize. I even remembered my semicolon. I'm always forgetting semicolons. Anyway, so that was it, and that was it. I'm now initialized. I can now think about using the Everyplay system. Job done, thank you very much. Of course, it's not quite that simple. I need to work out where in the game I want to start recording. So I was looking at the game, and I was thinking, oh, actually, let's go back to the mono. Oops, he says it's gone too far. So I thought, well, let's start at the beginning. Now, as it happens, in the tutorial, it's not very complicated, so it's pretty easy to work out where you want to start. And all I had to do was type this. Everyplay, start recording. It is literally, that's it. Now, it has some interesting implications, because if all it takes is to have an Everyplay start recording, and what you'll see later as well, if I come further down, when I come down to the bottom, I did Everyplay stop recording. So I've started it and stopped it. You can actually do also pause recording. So let's say I want to capture a certain moment in a game. I could do start recording, discover that an achievement has happened, do a pause recording, do a pop-up and said, you've just got this achievement, you've just headshotted 3 zombies in a row, do you want to share that video? And if they say yes, then you can go off and pull up the Everyplay sharing things. If they say no, you go back, start recording again, and then the recording will continue as it was. So you've had the moment to interrupt, you've paused the recording, and you carry on playing. So you get this real flexibility, which is entirely in your hands as a developer. I happen to be cat-handed and very incompetent and learning as I go along, so I've only done it in a very simple way, but you guys who know what you're doing can do a lot more. I even worked out you could do like a stop motion. If you've got a city building game, you could do a stop motion animation. So you might do start recording, record for a second, pause, and then when somebody does some other action in the game, start recording, pause, and just keep doing that. Imagine how the city would then build up. And you don't have to do any special coding. You're just going start, pause, start, pause. Amazing stuff. So I decided to stop the recording at the end of the, actually, to be honest, I put it in the wrong place. I put stop recording when you die, not after the explosion that happens after you die, which is a real downer. But I didn't have time to fix it, so you'll have to bear with me on that. So then when I've done that, I can decide, do I want to immediately go into the actual coding? I'm going to do actual coding now. So do I play the last recording immediately after the play? So I've done my game session. Do I immediately play that last recording? And that's quite a cool thing to do. In fact, you can do some really other interesting stuff. So you could do things like the thumbnail image. We capture a thumbnail image as you record. You can actually do that thumbnail capture throughout the game, making an animated GIF. That's really powerful. So imagine you've got the end of your level, and you display an animated GIF of the thing that your players just played. Just think how compelling that is to press. You know, it's like an action replay. I can press this action replay. Pretty cool stuff. As it happens, I personally decided not to try and draw the buttons myself. So I used the modal, which is a kind of pre-prepared piece. And I'll show it to you in a bit. So I made it nice and easy. There you go. We've started the recording. Well, sorry, I'll start again. We've initialized Everyplay. We've started recording. We've talked about pausing, although I didn't use pause here. And also, we've stopped recording and then decided how we're going to display it in about 4 lines of code. Even I've been able to do that. And how long have we taken talking about that? I've taken much longer talking about that than it would take you to do it. And what the results of that is basically this. He says, switching. Picture of my daughter there is Harley Quinn. So here we go. Here's the project. Oh, let's get some audio here. Whoops. Noisy. All right, let's see if this works. Here we go. It's trouble when you try and do a handover, you die too quickly. So, as you will see, I've got touch working. Touch control, the audio's not working there. Oh well, never mind. Audio was working before. Right, so, try again. Replay. See, that's the GUI working. An amateur coder able to use the GUI. Okay, so I died already. This metadata thing is just a warning to me because I've not set up metadata yet. And you'll get that warning. It's just because, and we'll talk about metadata in a second, there's amazing things that we can do with the metadata. Inside our code, we can create variables we can define as metadata points which get embedded in the video. Think about what that could do. I could put my scores, the levels, the character, the character I've chosen to play, the avatar, the player ID, the session ID, a whole bunch of data that we can put into the video data. So here we are, and we now have this share replay. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to play back that. And because we're here, why don't we record ourselves talking. Here you go, audience. See if I can get the video pointing at you lot. There you go. So here we are in Belgrade, and I'm live recording us talking about this video, which we can then play back. Don't know if you can hear that. But we were doing that. And that's the sort of thing your players can do to create those moments. I can even put that facecam into the game as it's playing. So you get that kind of live experience of people playing your game, sharing that information, sharing that experience. All straight away, all live, all joyous. So, enough of the scary stuff for me, trying to do live things. Let's talk about some more general stuff. Back to my lovely slides. By the way, I'm assuming everybody gets that. I mean, thank you for that. I will remind myself, when you're reconnecting your PC, you have to set up the display again. The Surface Pro 3 is fantastic, by the way. I go on about it all the time. I'm utterly, utterly in love with it. So here's the stuff we talked about before, the code, all done, job done. And then, of course, yeah, obviously we need to make sure that we're going to export it to the right device. We support iOS and Android. We don't support other things just yet. Obviously, I'd like to see it support more devices and more platforms, but that's where we are right now. And a whole bunch of other stuff that we're trying to do. So I did the basics, but all of the code needed to use Everyplay is actually in the package. There are a couple of script files that have all the structure you need to know how to implement it yourself. So if you look at it's a fantastic cheat. For someone like me who's just learning being able to go and find something that somebody else has written and then incorporate it how I want it to work is exactly what I need. So this is the Everyplay test script. And here you go. In this is all of the code that you need to be able to do it. So if you want to just read how we've done it in the test, you can just strip that out and put it into your game however you want to do it. In fact, the facecam stuff, which I didn't get time to implement in my version of the game, is in Everyplay facecam test. So all of the stuff you need, a really easy shorthand if you're a coder. You can just go and look at in fact, you don't even have to be a decent coder. You can be someone as idiotic as me, trying to look at what people have done before and just bringing it into your game. So you'll be able to get that facecam showing in the experience. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, finer controls, triggers. So because I know I can do start recording and pause recording at any point, I can create some amazingly fine control in my game if it suits my game to do that. Now, most of the time, most people don't. One of the things I think people do find really useful is that we can play back only the last n minutes, insert number, to how many minutes you want to play. So you could have a game that, say, has a long build-up and then has a moment of conflict at the end that you want to share. And you might decide, well, I'm going to have the stop recording happen 30 seconds after you die or 30 seconds after the achievement, and then play back the last 2 minutes. So you have a 2-minute-long video based on the exciting part of the game. And you could do that because this is the kind of fine controls that you can put in because it's entirely in your hands. I did mention facecam, so I don't think I need to go into too much detail about that, but you saw on the video I was showing that so much power in when it's a real person playing the game, it means so much more to you. Even if it's not somebody you know, it means something more to you. And we know what's happened in terms of Twitch, and we know what's happened in terms of YouTubers. I think mobile's different. I think mobile is more about asynchronous experiences rather than live experiences. But I think we'll see that happen over time. I think we'll see a blend of live and real time alongside the kind of the moments I've saved up. But we'll see how that goes. At the moment, we just support recordings and sharing, but we'll see what happens there. And of course, putting the camera into the game is the ultimate selfie. So if I can then take that video feed, I can put it inside the game. That picture there in the background is actually me. But you see the same as the thumbnail. So we can actually take the feed from the facecam and bring it into the game. At the moment, this only works on iOS. You can imagine doing it on Android is a little bit more tricky. We will get there. But it's fascinating when you start seeing people pulling video feeds straight into the game. Really, really cool stuff. And I'm yet to see, I have a game design in my mind. I haven't tried it yet. I don't know if it'll work. But I want to see what happens if I take that image in and start looking at pixel shifting so I can work out movement. I'm wondering if I can make a dancing game where I can pick out people actually dancing in front of their iPads. That would be funny, especially if I can get a dancing costume. Did anyone see the SingStar videos of the Wookiee dancing? Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Anyway, so that's the kind of thing. People who get passionate about your game, people who get excited, who can put themselves into your game world, are incredibly delighted by that. It becomes part of what they consider to be their entertainment, their value, their experience. It makes the game much more important to them. And if we are building games that are going to be discovered, if we are building games where we want to retain, and ultimately if we want to monetize, then we have to pay attention to the components that make the game more engaging. And what's more engaging than being able to star in my own version of your game and be able to see my friends starring in their own versions? Games are incredibly powerful psychologically. They allow us to feel competent. They allow us to escape. And importantly, they give us a sense of autonomy. They're the qualities that make games amazing. And they're really powerful things. They're very positive things for self-esteem. It's something that our medium does better than any other medium. And obviously, when you can use this kind of technology as well, you can just amplify that. Now, I'm a big fan of metadata. We talked about metadata very, very briefly earlier. So any variable we want to create, if it's the score, the session ID, the player ID, whatever it might be, and I can put that into the video. I'm actually thinking about whether I can put a whole string, say 100 character string could be a ghost for playing in the game. Why would I do that? Well, if I save that as private metadata, and I can do a JSON request, so I can use JSON to call to the Everyplay servers and get a list of all the videos played by the player's friends for that level, and find out if any of them got high scores, and find out that I've got the string of their 100 character string or something of their play of that level, I can not only let them see you playing that game, I could also put highlights from what you did into the game as like a ghost. Think about what that might mean. Being able to pull all this kind of material together with some intelligence, with some kind of creative vibe, we can do some amazing things. I mean, in the case of Skyline Skaters, this is about as sophisticated as people have done it so far. But Skyline Skaters is amazing because I can actually look at the top 10 score, and whenever a friend of mine has got a video they've saved, like in this case, Andrew did have that score, and I didn't believe he'd got that, because it's quite hard to get 788,886. That's a big score in Skyline. Anyone plays Skyline Skaters? It's a good game. It's a good game. So I had to see it to check he wasn't cheating. Actually, what I was doing, I was trying to work out how on earth he got as high a score as that, and trying to see if I could do it myself. But I could do that from inside the game, because the guys put metadata into the video, and were able to poll that data against the list of Facebook friends that you had, and give you something meaningful to you that you could see without having to have a server to run all that. Because the Everyplay side, we host it, we moderate, we support all of that stuff for you. Incredibly powerful stuff. This isn't just about gameplay sharing, although that's incredibly powerful itself. This is about building communities. This is about building an audience who emotionally care about what you're doing, and they tell their friends. In fact, there was an interesting survey that came out from EDAR recently, which showed how important it was in terms of discovery for people to find out about games from their friends. I think it was something like 19% of all. I may not be remembering the stat properly, but something like 90% of all people had said that they'd discovered their new game through a share, a personal friendship share. I can't remember what the percentage was for video sharing, but it was very similar. In fact, they specifically mentioned YouTube and Everyplay in the report as being some of the most fast-growing influences in terms of discovery of games. This is powerful stuff. Obviously, when you go to ship, there's a few other things you need to do. Please set up your project information correctly, if I can remember how to do that. I actually stuffed this up, and it caused me no end of problems. Where is it? Project settings. I've forgotten where it is now. Anyway, I will remember another time. But you've got to actually define the name of your game as not the default, because otherwise your game will be up and conflicting with all the other people who've got the same default shipping name. So just be polished in the way that you deliver. Make sure that you've gone to the Everyplay site and put in when you go to launch, put in the ID of the App Store, because then we can make those video shares public. Until you put that in, we keep all of your video shares private, because we don't want you to get accidentally caught out and find that people are sharing your brand new game in your testing stage when the game's not quite as polished as it should be. Spoilers. We don't want spoilers. So we sandbox your videos for you. So put in your project information onto the website. And also, that's where you register this metadata and you say which bits are public, which bits are private. So you have to go in and say, this bit of metadata should be private. And that way, you don't show it. In fact, it's such an easy thing to do. I might even, let's see if the web is working. Let's see if I can type. So if I go to everyplay.com, he says, it's always risky trying to pull things up. So if I look at everyplay.com, here's my site. I can look at a video. Here's a valiant effort of a chicken. But if you look down the bottom here, this hasn't got metadata, damn it. Anyway, but you can like and share and all that kind of stuff, and you can watch the videos. crazy videos, chickens and so on and so forth. Really easy community site to use. And you can take advantage of it. All you have to do is make sure you just do that final polish at the end. So, I'm not sure how much time I've got left, but hopefully I've given you a sense of how easy it is to make Everyplay work. Hopefully I've given you a sense of the potential it has if you put just that little bit of time in, you know, and if you polish just that little bit more to make sure that the experience of people playing your game can be the best it possibly can be. Just doing that is itself rewarding. You know, because there are thousands of games, well, there is 1,000 games, and there are millions of people uploading videos. There are millions of videos out there. But coming soon, in the next few weeks, we're going to be releasing a new update, a very significant update. I'm not sure if we've publicly said the dates yet, so I'm not going to say it just in case, but it is imminent. We're going to be changing the way that we do community features. And the community features are going to include things like discussion boards. They're going to be being able to become a member of a game, so you join the community. We're going to provide tools for developers to actually manage that. Vastly improved search capabilities. So all of this JSON metadata that we put into, you know, people put into games, not only can they use it to bring the video back into the game, they can actually use it on the site to be much more effective at showing the cool stuff, highlighting and prompting the things that you think are important, being able to moderate your own. Obviously, we'll do the simple moderation. We'll make sure that no one's posting up inappropriate videos. We'll make sure that, you know, if there's someone who doesn't like report, you know, you can report people who are being inappropriate, for example. So the service will do that for you. But your game might have its own particular needs of moderation. You might, you know, want to sort of engage more directly with the consumer. And all of that capability will be there for you. So we're actually, I think, opening out a brand new era. We're making it so that the game space on Everyplay is yours, much more about you as a game developer, and also still within that wider community. So Everyplay is a catalyst that allows you to bring your audience together at the same time as being part of a wider community where players who love games in general can find you. That's what works. That's what makes social community work. If you've got a space that people will return to time and time again to find out the latest information about how do you get past this level. Imagine if you posted a level saying, I can't get past this level. Here's a video of me doing it. Please, someone help. Well, now people can actively respond with a video showing you how to do it. And you can search for the terms based around the metadata of the video you posted to find the videos somebody already has posted to get past that. We're starting to build dialogue and discussion, and you will have tools as developers to take advantage of that, to make that work for you and your game. So we've got a fantastic stuff that's coming. I mean, I just think this is a kind of a real start for really transforming what we do on mobile in general about game communities. And I think the mobile device has always been a little bit of a strange beast. It is the most social device we have, and yet we haven't given people the tools to really take advantage of that. And I think in games, we're now doing that with Everyplay. So like I say, it's, you know, some fantastic stuff there, suggested replays, comments, discussions, following people, following games, game communities being able to manage themselves, a whole bunch of great stuff, all for free. So that's me. A whole bunch of other stuff I could talk about. If anyone's interested in talking a bit more about Unity ads, I can happily do so. I don't tend to at the moment, only because I don't want to sort of just sell to you, but I'm more than happy to talk about that if you were interested. If anyone's got any questions about Everyplay itself, obviously if you've got questions about coding, there might be better people to ask. However, if you want to ask about the experience of learning to code, I'm more than happy to answer that as well. So anyone got any thoughts or questions? Go for it. Oh, let's go with a microphone. Have we got a microphone? The microphone is coming. Awesome. There we go, right behind you.
Thank you, Oscar. Do you have any examples of a success story of a before and after, and the idea of before integration, after integration, and you can see the viral lift that this technology provides?
I haven't got a very clean example. That's the trouble with a lot of these things is quite often it's not a clean thing. Because if you think about it, when you launch a game, you have a certain burst that happens when you first freshly launch. So if you've launched it with Everyplay, it'll have an effect. If you launch it later, you've already had that moment, that kind of uplift of that initial launch halo period. So it's hard to do that in an easy, justified way. And that sounds like an excuse. It genuinely isn't an excuse. It's just the way the maths work out. However, if you look at things like Hill Climb Racer and you see things like how many million of followers they have and how many million videos, you can see there's clearly some community element to that. I mean, Hill Climb Racer is the crudest looking game on the planet. And yet people are sharing what is essentially, you could argue, the same video millions of times. Why? Because it's my video, not yours. And that thing has clearly had an effect. Another example was Skyline Skaters. Skyline Skaters itself, not necessarily the hugest game in the wider world. However, they started running campaigns where you were giving away iPads for the best video that week. And they had a fantastic uplift. I think they got to 1 million videos as well. I haven't checked the numbers. But there's another game where clearly there was a direct correlation between having not just the video replay, but they'd actually intelligently placed ways of presenting that video inside the game. So there's a whole bunch of things that make success or failure happen on Everyplay. You need to tell people that you've recorded a video for them and that they can share it. You need to show them. What we found is if you have a thumbnail, particularly an animated thumbnail, where they can see it was what they did, it's obvious what a replay is. We'll try it out. Quite a lot of the time, people put a sort of, maybe an Everyplay logo, or maybe just a play icon, like a sort of triangle, and say replay. And of course, no one knows what that is. And you have to sort of be trained almost. You have to kind of encourage, because no one acts unless we have an incentive to act. Whether it's downloading a game or spending money on an in-app purchase or whatever else it is, we need to be encouraged to do these things. So one example of this is Bad Piggies. Fantastic game, and actually did get loads and loads of videos. And it was the perfect kind of game in many ways, because as a physics-based game where I'm building things, it's kind of so obvious it's valuable. But you had to press record to do the recording. It didn't happen automatically. That was a decision that the Bad Piggies guys decided to do. I do understand why, but it's not what I would have chosen to do. And I think if they'd have made that more automated, they'd had even more videos. And frankly, they had millions anyway, so they didn't do too bad. But then there's another question which comes is, right, is it the type of game itself that has an impact? So again, I'm sounding like I'm making an excuse of why I don't have hard data, but I'm trying to show the complexity of the variables that play. So if you've got a game that's, say, a linear puzzle, why would you have gameplay recording? Well, what we found is that players actually like long videos of explanation of people's experiences doing that, particularly when they're getting past problems they can't solve themselves. So you don't want spoilers, but if you've had a go at trying to solve a game several times, and you know you can go to Everyplay and you can access it through the game to find what people have done, wow. Not only am I feeling like I can solve that puzzle because I can see how to do it now, but more importantly, someone who plays the game, who's part of the community, uploaded that information for me. So my long answer comes down shortly to it depends. And it depends on a whole bunch of factors in terms of how you've implemented it, how you use it in terms of the game, the kind of game itself, and the way that you've leveraged the community within your game. Does that help? We have another question.
So what's the performance overhead of having this running when it's recording? And I presume the videos are compressed. Does it get compressed in real time, or when you actually submit at that time, does it do the compression?
So it all runs in the... so basically what we're doing is we're rendering the GL layer. And we've done it on the secondary processor. So basically, the performance hit is virtually nothing. Yeah, I'm serious. It's virtually nothing. We had guys from Simultronics who were putting it into One Epic Night who said to me, I was really confused because I tried it. I was running it in test mode, and I was checking my frame rate, and my frame rate didn't change. Did I do something wrong? And then he'd check back, and he had put it on. He thought he hadn't put it on. So there is genuinely almost no hit rate. I mean, I'm not sure if the Dead Trigger 2 guys want to mention it, but obviously you look at Dead Trigger, and we're not affecting the performance there. Now, we're also helped by the fact that, particularly in iOS, the H.264 codec is already in memory. And we use the same principle with Android. You know, we're recording H.264, so it's much, much more compressed automatically, no overhead, Nice and easy. Now, don't get me wrong, it sounds very easy to say, yeah, there's no performance here, all that kind of stuff, and it's true, but obviously our guys have worked very hard to make sure that happens, and that's one of the reasons why we take time releasing new platforms, because if there's any overhead, no developer in their right mind would implement it, especially if you're making a game as complex as Dead Trigger 2, because you cannot afford for the game to be compromised. That would be bad, wouldn't it? If you had gameplay recording, but your game was now running like a dog, would that be a good thing? Clearly not. So that's why we make sure we don't have an overhead. Cool. There's a question over here.
Hi. You said that I can choose how long a video I want to share.
Yeah.
But can I leave it up to the customer? Because there are moments when player maybe does some crazy stunt at the beginning of a 5-minute session, and he only wants to share that beginning, that stunt. Can I do that?
Yes. And you don't even need to do anything. It's already there. I'm going to try it and actually show you. So you see at the top of the screen, there's a couple of sliders, which I'm currently tweaking with. Oops. So here you go. I'm trying to tweak these sliders. Oops. My thumbs are too hefty on these. I don't know why I'm doing it so badly. Normally I do it really, really easily. Anyway, so you just got these sliders, you slide it around, you trim it, job done. So you can decide exactly what you want to show when you want to show it. I mean, we could do more interesting stuff if you really wanted to. But frankly, that's really simple. It just works. Everybody picks it up instinctively. So I think, basically job done. Does that make sense? Yeah. I think one of the things I've always wanted to do, we've never got around to doing yet, is the ability to do multi-trim inside the video. It's actually quite easy to take the video off the website as it happens, or use it embedded. So I've done this on video editing tools. It's much easier to use a video editing tool to do that kind of thing. I think the UI needed to make multi-trim work on these would just be a bit too kind of complicated. It's fine, isn't it? It works. Any more questions? Any more questions? So, there's one over here. By the way, you can ask me anything. If you want to know about the moral and ethical implications of using habit-forming design, I'm your man.
Okay, so let's say I'm playing a game with my friend online, and he's on his device, and I'm on my device.
Yep.
And can I record his facial expression as well?
As long as you angle your device at him.
Sorry?
You can angle your device at him. That's it.
No, like 2 cameras.
No, at the moment it's just recording on the device. So it's not recording in the cloud in that sense. Okay. But he could record that.
Yeah, but like I want to have a game where I have 4 players, and I want the expression of all 4 players, like 4 thumbnails down.
I think at the moment that's not possible. Obviously, you can imagine I'd like to do things like that. We haven't even touched the sort of how do you do multiplayer kind of stuff yet. That might become more interesting, particularly if we start looking at live, but we're not doing that yet.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's an interesting point, though, because if we want that kind of let's play experience, then what could we do with it? And I think that's one of the joys, is that we will do what our developers want us to do. It might take time. We're not going to promise to deliver it every second, but what we're trying to do is make sure we deliver what's going to give you the best value for your business, because we think games is a business, and that's a good thing, because it forces us to make good decisions about what makes games great for our audience. It's not just about art. Art is an important point, because our audience want to experience and consume our art. But as a business, we have the opportunity to do something, I think, a bit more interesting, because we have no wiggle room. We have to deliver what an audience wants, or they won't pay for it. And I think that's why, us as Everyplay, we're kind of supplying you as developers. We need to know what's going to empower you as a developer. And the more we hear from you, the more we engage with you, the easier it is for us to make the right decisions to support you. Cool. Any more? Oh, goody, goody. Right, so I think we have hit the point of end of questions. We're going to take a bit of a break. I'm just going to remind myself what's next. I think it's lunch next. Let me just check on the old notes. So next up at 1 o'clock, we're going to have a hands-on with the new UI system. So Andy Touch, who's a fantastic technical evangelist for Unity, is going to talk about the new GUI system. Until then, go mingle, go talk, tell everybody about how amazing video sharing is and what an amazing coder I'm not. And obviously, feel free to talk to each other and talk to me if you've got any further questions or thoughts. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Come back at 1.